Hey everyone, Cody from Mac Telecom Networks. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Switch 48 PoE. I'm going to be installing this for a customer later on this week, and I'll be taking a video of me installing it, so make sure to come back and check for that video. If you'd like to hire us for network consulting, visit www.mactelecomnetworks.com. You can find us on Instagram at MacTelecomNetworks, and if you'd like to support the channel, we have an Amazon storefront, and I'll put the link in the description below. First, what we're going to do is take a look at the Switch and some of the specs. I am going to leave timestamps in the video if you want to skip ahead, as I'm going to go through all the settings of the Switch, and most of you have already probably seen that. So let's take a closer look. And here we have the Switch 48 PoE. On the front, we have the 1.3-inch touchscreen, and then we have ports 1 to 32 that are 802.3 AT PoE+. Ports 33 to 48 are just our standard gigabit ports, and then we have 4 SFP ports. These are 1 gigabit uplink ports. And then on the back of the Switch, we have our power input. Now we've seen the Switch and how it looks. The price point for the Switch is $589 MSRP USD. Now we need to get this adopted into our UDM Pro, and then we'll look at the settings of the Switch. We're now in my UDM Pro, and we could see the USW 48 PoE on the top. It has a blue dot beside it, meaning it's pending adoption. If we click on the Switch, we could press adopt, and this will take a few minutes to get into our controller. Now the Switch is adopted into our controller, let's take a look at the setting. Under the overview, we could see all 48 ports and then our 4 SFP ports. There are different colors for different link states. If it's green, it's going 1 gigabit. If it's the amber color, it's going 100 or 10 megabits per second. If it's gray, it's disconnected, and if it's black, it's disabled. If we have the eye icon, it's in a mirroring state, and then we could see the little lightning bolt. That means PoE is going through it. And a circle with a line through it means RSTP discarding. Under the overview, we have the name of the Switch, we have the MAC address, the model, the version of firmware that it's running, we have the IP address, and then the Switch experience. We also have the uptime, memory usage, and load average. If we look at our uplink, it's going to show us where we're uplinking to. I'm uplinking to my USW Lite 16 on port 7, and we're connected on port 48 of the new 48 port Switch. We can see our speed, our duplex, and the power, the download, upload packets, and activity. If we had any downlinks, it would show here, but I only have the one uplink connection right now. We have no guest or client, so there's nothing in the table. And then we have statistics. This is going to show us our CPU and memory utilization. And at the bottom, we could see that we need a firmware upgrade. So I'm going to click that and we'll upgrade. So we're going to be upgrading from 4.3.22 to 5.43, and we'll press confirm. Now the firmware upgrade has completed, and we can see that we're on version 5.43.36. So now let's take a look at the device tab. Under general, we could give this Switch a name. I'm just going to leave it at its default for now, and then we could search for device tags. Under screen, we could turn up or down the screen brightness, and we could tweak the settings for night mode to have the screen turned on or off. We could also have rack multi-screen synchronization. Under our network, this is where we're going to tell it if it's getting an IP from DHCP or we're going to statically assign it. And then we have all our services. So this includes our management VLAN, jumbo frames, flow control, our spanning tree. We could use rapid spanning tree or just normal spanning tree protocol. We could put in the priority and then 802.1x control. We could enter SNMP information as well, and then we could look at manage. This is where we could do a custom firmware upgrade. We could force provision. We could download the device information, or we could unmanage this device from our controller. Now let's take a look at the ports tab. Under ports, we could see each one of the ports are labeled port 1 to 48, and then we have 49 to 52 as our SFP ports. On the ports, we could see the status. Right now, they're all disconnected, and we could see which ports give PoE. So if we keep scrolling down, we're going to see the PoE will go up to port 32 and then stop. Now let's take a look at some of the port settings. I'm going to click on port 1. We could give the port a name, and this is a description to what it's connecting to or whatever you feel is necessary. And then we have our port profile. So the port profile is what VLAN we're going to be tagging it with, or if we're going to have multiple VLANs. Right now it's set to all, so it's a trunk port. If we click on the drop down, we could disable this port, or we could select another VLAN or a custom switch port profile. Under MAC filter allow list, we could put the MAC addresses of the devices that we want to connect to this port. If we put in a MAC address and then we plug in another device that doesn't have that MAC address, the port won't work. We could also do port profile overrides. We have our PoE setting, so we could either turn it on or off. By default, it's either PoE or PoE+. And then we have our operations. We could have the port in switching, mirroring, or aggregate. And then we have our link speed. Right now, by default, it's in auto negotiation, but we could have it at 1 gig full duplex, 100 megabits full duplex or half duplex, as well as 10 megabits full duplex or half duplex. We also have a few other settings. So we have port isolation, storm control, LLDP, topology change, notification, enable spanning tree protocol, and egress rate limit. One thing for the new UI that you can't do is edit multiple ports at once. So if we wanted ports 1 to 5 to be in VLAN 10, we would have to go into each one of these ports and specify it for VLAN 10. In classic mode, we could edit ports in bulk. So I'm going to go and change it over to classic mode. And how we do that, we press on our settings wheel and then we press on system settings. From here, we could hit classic settings. That will just bring us to the system settings. And we want to turn off the new user interface and then press deactivate. Now back at our switch, let's put ports 1 to 5 in a different VLAN. So I'm going to select ports 1 to 5 and then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. We're going to press edit selected, and under switch port profile, we're going to give it the profile of guest and then press apply. Now if we go and look at any of these ports, they'll be in that guest port profile. So I'll select port 2. And we could see that it's in Mac Telecom guest. I'm really hoping they bring this feature over to the new user interface as it saves a lot of time. But that's it for the switch. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm going to be installing this later this week at a client site with a UDM Pro. We're going to redo some of the cable management and I'm going to be videotaping that. So make sure you come back and check out that video, which will probably be released in a couple days. If you have any questions about the switch, please leave it in the comments below. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. All right, thanks.